There we go. Okay. Hello. Sorry, I didn't set myself up yet. Working on that. This was sporadic. Alright, let's get some music in the background. How's it going? Alright, so I'm going to be doing free single card readings. So if you have a question that you feel open to saying out loud, then feel free. Hello. If you guys have questions that you want me to pull cards for, I'm going to be pulling one card for each question. So drop your questions. I'm not set up right now, so I'm trying to get music in the back, but I realized my tablet died. So in the meantime, drop some questions or topics that y'all would want a card pulled for. In the meantime, hello, welcome. Oh, we getting personal. Sorry, let me throw that out there too. I personally do not do love readings. I do not believe in love readings because I feel like when it comes to relationships, things are constantly changing. So I feel like it's a disservice to do love readings. So the only topic I'm not going to touch is love. Unless it's self-love, we're not talking about it. That's a decision you have to make within yourself. If you even gotta come try to ask cards about somebody, that's your answer. You would already know within yourself if someone's for you, if something makes sense. You wouldn't have to ask questions. So that should be your answer. I don't do love readings. I'm sorry if that hurt anybody's feelings. I don't do love readings. Don't believe in it. You better ask your ancestors for some answers. You better ask yourself for answers. I don't do love readings. Don't believe in it. Don't let people fuck with you with that shit, because that's just one thing I feel like you can't tell nobody about. You feel me? Well, you gotta be more specific, because you just asked if you could trust somebody, so I'm gonna assume that's love. But just a FYI to whoever's on here, I don't do love readings. I don't believe in it. We don't do that on these side. You go within if you got questions about somebody you love or somebody you trying to talk to. Yeah, you gotta be a little specific if you asking about certain things. But that's more of a yes or no question, which that's not really what my deck is gonna be for. But we can switch it up a little bit, and I can pull my pendulum out and show y'all how to use pendulums, because when it comes to yes or no questions, it's a little different than just pulling cards, because I'm not a yes or no person either. So that's the reader is very reflective of who they are. And I'm not a yes man or a no man, really. I like to understand where someone is coming from on something. I like to go into detail. I like to I like depth. So I'm just shuffling these really quick. But let me see, where is my pendulum? Okay, so I have this piece that I made here. This shape is called a Merkaba. If you learn about sacred geometry, you learn that the different angles, the different shapes all play a role in the creation of life, in the creation of plants, human beings, the planet, all of that. And how it works in the spiritual realm is that our bodies are like pretty much like where this crystal is within this Merkaba. And we all have a Merkaba outside of us that is our ship, our vessel. And Merkaba actually means ship in that language. I'm always forgetting the name of that language when I talk about this. So pretty much this ship, this Merkaba, takes you wherever you want to go. No matter what timeline, no matter what planet, what universe, whatever. Your Merkaba is what takes you, it's your ship. So I created this piece because the Merkaba is also a very powerful symbol. And together with shungite, which is the crystal in here, shungite is found in Russia, pretty much only Russia so far that I know of. And shungite helps protect you from EMF, which is electromagnetic frequency that is disruptive to your frequency. So together with the Merkaba, this is a powerful ass protector from radiation, from whatever MK Ultra shit. I said MF. MK Ultra shit. This keeping me protected. I'm gonna eventually get an EMF reader so I can show y'all firsthand like how much radiation comes out of devices, out of your Wi-Fi box. Like, that is not good for you. So I also have like shungite pyramids that I keep on top of my Wi-Fi box if I am in a place that has Wi-Fi, because this helps lower the frequency of the radiation that is coming out. And I'm gonna get an EMF reader so I can eventually show y'all how serious that shit is and how that shit is not a game. But had to give you a quick history lesson real quick before we use this. So how pendulums work is it gives you yes or no and maybes. And how it works is that well, first and foremost, you always want to make sure you ask your crystal if it wants to be used, if it wants to answer questions. You always gotta be respectful of your crystals because they have a consciousness, and sometimes if they don't want to be with you or if they don't want to do something, they will make you feel uncomfortable until you put them down, because they either wanted to stay where they are, sometimes they just want to sunbathe, they don't want to deal with nothing. So always be respectful of your crystals too. So as you see, like as I'm gonna be talking, the pendulum is gonna start doing its own thing. So first and foremost, I'm gonna ask it to show me what no looks like, and I'm gonna show y'all as little as possible that I'm not moving this. Show me yes. So you see, when it said no, it swung forward like in a linear way, but when it's showing me yes now, it's going in a circle. And the more intuitive you are, you can also like pick up energy and pick up what the pendulum is gonna say, and pretty much the crystal can operate as by itself, or sometimes your spirit guides would tune in. So like sometimes you'll hear a question and right now it's not moving that much, but sometimes it'll swing really heavy because it's trying to tell you we're very serious about this answer. So for whoever's just joining, we're going to show you again. I'm not moving my hand. Show me no. Show me yes. Would you like to answer some questions today and show some people some magic? You see how I sped up a little bit? So they're ready to answer some questions. So let me go back to the name. of your contractor. Okay, his name is Patrick. Okay. Can they trust Patrick? So it's saying yes, but I felt a little sense of kind of like this way. So there's a slight possibility that you just need to double check your contract before you agree. Because you could trust this person, but there might just be like something in the contract that you might miss. So it just wants you to be careful. And you see it's very, like, it's spinning heavy, like it's agreeing with me. So you can trust this person, you can hire this person, but just double check everything. Like, don't just leave everything to them. Make sure you're double checking everything. So that's how pendulums go. That's how pendulums work. If you haven't used them before. Alright, let's see. What other questions do we have? Okay, you want to move out of Texas and get into the cannabis industry. Okay, so let's see what card I can pull for you to see what direction you want to go. Alright, so I am going to shuffle these cards. I just want to verbalize that I'm shuffling, right? Because people like to say that this shit is not real, but we gonna shuffle too. We gonna really mix these cards up. Okay. And so usually what I do, I usually ask for the person's name so I can have a better, clear connection. But since I'm doing this on live, we're just gonna be doing this a little more general. And usually, how it works is like you'll feel different as you're shuffling, and then at some points you'll probably feel like you kind of got stuck. Like, okay, I'm supposed to stop here. Let me pull this card at the top. This is the card. Or sometimes they fly out. It really depends on how eager the message is, or how your spirit guides work with you. My cards doesn't generally fall out, but I'm more of a feeler, so that can be why. Okay, so your card is Steadfastness. And I'm using my Ganesha deck. So you're going to see a lot of Ganesha. And just to try to give you like a good look at the card, we got Ganesha on another elephant. But sidebar, elephants do not like being ridden on. So yeah, that doesn't make them happy. But you see Ganesha has like a lot of arms, there's a lot of abundance, there's different protection weapons, and let's see, there's a flower, there's food, there's a rope. So basically this person has a lot of decisions or options to work with right now. So I do like to read the book too, because whoever put this together, some of the decks come with a book that explains their definition of the cards, and the decks that I get, these meanings really be on point. So let's see what it says. Okay, for steadfastness. Do not waver back and forth or be moved by the circumstances that are surrounding you at this time. Be focused on your purpose and willing to be swayed by what other people think or what you perceive. Ganesha heartens you by revealing that when you know your effort is not futile, you would be steadfast and immovable. This seems to be a major stumbling block in your life at this time. Perhaps your current job gives you little recognition with no real sense of accomplishment or success. You may feel unheard in your relationships. Possibly the error lies in the fact that in your heart, you really feel your struggle is hopeless. You may recognize it on an intellectual level, but you are easily shaken when you do not see the fruit of your exertion. Ganesha is pictured here riding the elephant to engage you in the energy of the elephant spirit. Elephants can teach you that kindness, dedication, and communication in relationships is very powerful. They remind you that it is necessary to keep relationships alive, trusting, and loving, whether the relationship is with friends, family, or partner. Deeply faithful to all creatures with which they have relationships, elephants are tough when protecting others and gentle when nurturing them. The matriarch, which is the oldest, most experienced female leader in the herd, leads in a way that is both gentle and inclusive. Elephants are able to communicate telepathically, so when you draw this card, your ability to truly listen to others is enhanced. Do whatever is necessary to safeguard your resolve. You are receiving guidance that this is the time to dig in, remain focused, and don't get caught up in trying to create change. The energy in your job or relationship is ever changing. Ask Ganesha to bring you the strength to work through whatever is happening. Stay committed and on track. Do not give up, as change will show up soon and the situation will be transformed. So pretty much like I was saying before I read the card, right? You have all these options in front of you, but you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's not about will this work? It's about, is this what I want? And if it is what you want, then you gotta just go do that shit. Because if you don't just go do it, how would you know? So you never want to live in regret. You always want to be able to make an executive decision and be like, is this something that I'm really passionate about? This is something that I really want? This is something I really feel? Or is this something that I'm just chasing off of ego? I'm just chasing because of the status that it's going to give me. That I'm just chasing because I don't feel like there's any other thing for me to do. You know, like, you always want to make sure there's intention behind everything you do, of course, but also a huge part of that is being able to go with the flow. So if you feel like there's opportunity there for you, if you feel like it's an industry where you can thrive, which personally, because I've been living on the West Coast, and I'm from New York, that's a huge difference. That's a huge change. So it's like, to go from everything being illegal and you having to like move however you move to, you know, do what you gotta do, to being in a space where I literally put this in one of my reels. I walked past a Metro PCS that also sold CBD. That's a whole different reality, and it's a whole different level of freedom that you don't get to experience wherever else you are, because people are still living in a state of mind where these people still feel like I'm gonna hold this as an illegal thing. So by all means, like, even outside of this reading, I'm always down to tell somebody get into the cannabis industry, but keep in mind that they make it very hard for people of color to get loans, to get grants, to get the businesses open. So you want to make sure that you know everything before you even try to step into that shit too. But if you go into places where it's legal, you can start up by being like bud tenders. So bud tenders are like baristas or bartenders where you service people bud. So you'll like ask them what they're looking for. You help them buy like pre-rolls or like bags, or well, they come in jars or like these containers, like, and then the containers have like, this is Bruce Banner, and it tells you like where it was packaged, like how many grams it is, how many, like, they make labels for this shit now. You went from like being in illegal states where you got to do your shit under the table, and then you can, but there's places you can go where I can go into a store and all I need is my ID saying I'm over 18, and I can go into this store and they're gonna weigh out an ounce and give me this fucking jar of weed, and it's legal. So it's like, why not start getting yourself in the industry so you could start learning? Because then you could also get into like the warehouses where you can be like a part of production, so you can help grow the weed, you can help de-leaf the weed, you can help trim the weed. Like, there's so many more options than trying to do this shit illegal, right? So that's something I'm learning about being on the West Coast and being in a space where weed is legal, because weed is something I love personally. So, you know, I'm gonna try to invest myself into that industry when I come over here as well. So like, if you especially have a car, you definitely be able to do more warehouse work where you can do trimming. And trimming is like when you're taking the leaves off of the bud, because people don't really know how weed looks when it grows. So like, that whole industry is just amazing. But I definitely think you should pursue it, but it's really up to what you want at the end of the day. If it's what you feel your soul is being drawn towards, then that's just like the direction you should just go. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, you're always leaving with more lessons learned. Like, you never leave more fucked up than you left, even if things appear so. You always come out learning something. So I'm always down to tell a person of color to get into that industry, because the more we get into it now and you have the experience, when we get to a level where we have more access, you're gonna be front line to be like, all right, I already have this experience, so I can just jump into this and like really create my own lane. And what I do love about the fucking West Coast, like, there's so many young kids that are trying to get into the cannabis industry, because you can just apply for licenses to be able to distribute, to grow, because when in the legal states like over here, you're able to at least have like 4 plants that you can grow, and it's legal. So like, it's just really, it's a whole different world. So honestly, get into that shit, like, for real. Alright, let's see what else we got here. For those who are just joining, I don't do love readings. I don't believe in them. So unless the connection is about something unrelated to love, like the first person, theirs was about a contractor, I will help you with the pendulum for the contractors, or like whatever else, but I don't do love readings. Let's see. Alright, somebody asked if they're gonna get the job. So like I said, there's gonna be certain questions that y'all ask that are yes or no questions, so I'm gonna have to pull out the pendulum for. If you were here earlier, you seen that I shown you how it works. So no is this direction. Show me yes. This is yes. Alright, so will the infinite one, did she get the job? Let us know. That's looking like a solid yes, which I'm really curious. Let me know if you actually get that, because just as much as I can give you answers, they're not guaranteed, because sometimes the spirit world will tell you what you want to hear and not the truth. So with something that specific, I would actually love to hear if you really actually get that shit, because that would be dope. Alright, let's see. Should I be working harder or relaxing more? Alright, let's see what spirit has for you. Alright, so we gonna shuffle these cards. Oh, I meant to say something too. Shout out to Rebel Kitty. She said that she uses my crystals as pendulums. My babies really be like miniature healing crystal Reiki people that I send out, and it's so cute to me. Like, I can't even describe to y'all the perspective I have about this jewelry I be making. Like, they're literally like babies to me, and I feel like I be just sending out these little babies to go help people. Cause like sometimes it's so weird. Sometimes like the packages that I send out, they go on road trips. Like I had someone who was from Arkansas. It's a really good friend of mine, and every time I've sent her stuff previously, it would just go straight to her. But the one time she ordered for me in bulk, like when I tell you she ordered like this huge ass piece for me, she ordered like a couple other things, so it was a lot of frequency in that bag. That package legit went from New York, like upstate, across, it went down south, it went back up, and then it went back to like North Carolina, and then it headed back to her. And like we both kept calling like USPS, and we're like, why is this package going everywhere? Like it's going everywhere. And like she ended up never receiving it. Like we ended up just getting back just the bag, like the envelope. So I ended up just making her a new batch. The new batch did the same thing, but that one made it to her though. But I was just like, it was just too much frequency. It was just too much frequency. Alright, so sorry, I'll be getting off track. Should you be working harder or relaxing more? Your card is determination. We pulled determination for you, which there's a lot of red here. So, you know a bitch loves to talk about chakras. So, we have to look at your root chakra and your solar plexus. This is what your focus is on right now. So what that means is that for first and foremost, you need to start within and relax. So make sure there's always a balanced amount between how much you're relaxing and how much you are working hard, because we really have to keep this in mind. Your body, your vessel is the only way you can live your life. It's the only way. How far do you ever think you're really gonna go if you're not taking care of it? Your body will start to break down. So you have to rest. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take it easy. But that doesn't mean that you have to slack either. You just need to have a perfect balance that works for you. So, like, people that always talk about being workaholics, like, I promise you they're going to be burnt out by the time they're, like, 40. I promise you. They're going to be the ones in the future that they fucking got colon cancer, so now they got to spend, like, 2 years of their life, like, not doing shit, not being able to work. Because they weren't eating right. They weren't giving themselves time to go get a salad instead of catching this dollar burger real quick. So now, 10 years later, when your colon all fucked up, you gonna be like, damn, I really wish I would've. Damn, why didn't I? You know, you gotta remind yourself of that. And, like, the reason why I even went plant-based to begin with is because of that shit. I watched my family burn themselves out, eat improperly, especially because I'm Caribbean, so we eat all types of meat. We drink all types of sugar. We drink sea moss with hella sugar all the time. Like, so all of them went through, like, cysts, breast cancer, colon issues, kidney cancer, all of that. So I made the executive decision to be like, that's going to end with me, because my body is it's my temple. All of them are barely like 50, 60 now, and they're already burnt out. Their bodies can barely function to do all the work they want to do all the travel that they want to do. So it's like, y'all gotta keep y'all head straight on that one. Like, y'all gotta stop letting people gas you up and get you programmed into this workaholic ass lifestyle. It's not healthy for you. It never was. Your body legit needs at least 8 hours of sleep to properly function. So if you even have to ask, you know, I'm gonna hit you with that one, but it's like, you gotta make sure your shit is like always balanced. Like, stop letting yourself get stuck in this workaholic mindset and beating yourself up and feeling like you're not doing enough. You're always doing enough. You're doing enough the more you take care of yourself. because then you have the vitality that you need to even do the shit that you want to do. Because now if you think about it, if you put in too much pressure on your body, that means your brain has to overfunction. And if your brain has to overfunction, that means your brain is not going to think properly, because your body spends most of its time trying to work down all the shit that you're putting on it. When y'all be eating before 12 o'clock, you know how much energy you're wasting? You're wasting so much energy because now your body is still fighting through the food that you ate yesterday, that is digesting from last night, and then here you go dumping some more food on it in the morning? You are bugging. You're not supposed to have that much food in your body. So it's like, there's just so many levels of how you already stressing out your body, to then on top of that be motivated to even have your own business and like do whatever you're doing. Because then now you're on top of that overworking yourself to provide security for yourself and your family. So it's like, the question should always be, am I giving myself enough rest? Because at the end of the day, you're always going to work hard. Regardless of where you at in life, you always going to work hard. That's how else you going to get through life unless you work, right? So the question is not about, should I be working more? But am I resting enough? Am I giving myself time to sit down and connect with nature? Am I giving myself time to sit down and talk to my ancestors? Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't even goddamn be here if your ancestors ain't keep having sex and like procreating and creating life and spreading life and traveling and doing all this shit. You wouldn't even be here. So how dare you waste all that time not even getting a second to know them? You are carrying their blood. You're carrying their genetics. I've been discovering my family members from down the line, and I'm finding out how much our face is the same. The way my face structure is the same thing. I am my ancestors. So how dare I not take a moment to be like, you know what, I've been working all day. I'll put in 8 hours today. Let me go sit down and say to my ancestors, thank you for creating this opportunity. Thank you for creating all this hard work that is even allowing me the space to even be out here saying I'm selling crystals. Our ancestors already had crystals before we was here. We wouldn't even know that this shit was there unless they was already going into the shit trying to figure out what the world had to offer them. It's not always about you. It's about also what the world can give you and what you can give back. So everything is about a even exchange. Everything is always going to be about balance. So if you always have to, like, not always, but if you have to ask a question about balance, that means you're not balanced. So that means it's time to get it together. It's time to like self-reflect. And that's a huge issue that everyone has. Nobody wants to sit down and self-reflect because y'all want to be on this toxic positivity thing and everything is love and light. This is why so many people hate me sometimes, because I'm always trying to talk about the hard shit. And nobody want to talk about the hard shit, but I'm telling you, the hard shit is how you get to all that freedom. Because you have to remember, you are also your ancestors. So whatever trials and tribulations that they come in with, you also already have that. So it's up to you to break those cycles, and that's why you feel like you have so much baggage, even though you've barely been in this world. Like you've been here for this long, but you feel like you have so much to do. So that's why you always feel like you have to exert all this energy, but like sometimes that energy needs to be brought into a different perspective and things that's outside of this physical realm. You need to be able to take responsibility and an accountability for you falling into the programming of what the white society and the white supremacist has created for you, which is that you gotta work till you like 60, then you can retire and then go travel. Hell no, I'm gonna be now traveling and also running a business and also being on Instagram doing what I gotta do. But I'm gonna also respect myself and make sure I have rest. Make sure that if my body don't feel like doing something, I'm not gonna do it. unless it's something that's actually very important and on a time frame, then I'm going to respect me. And that's one thing that people always hated about me, because they try to say I don't work hard enough, but I always say I work as hard as I need to. There's some things you have to give to the universe. You can't do everything. You can't know everything. You can't be a part of everything. You can't put your hands in everything. That's not how the shit work. It's balance. You gotta, it's more about like that surrendering to things that make you uncomfortable, which for a lot of y'all, it makes y'all uncomfortable to rest. And you need to understand the psychological reason behind that. Why are you so afraid to rest? Because of the social pressure of what you accomplish by whatever age you are right now. Everything is social pressure. So you're not living by your own standard. And that's the problem. So you need to have like the determination to seek the true ways within yourself and how you respond into life. Because it's not really a matter of like, am I doing enough or am I doing too much? It's about something deeper than that. So like you really need to dive in and try to understand like, what battle am I having with myself that I have to keep questioning whether I'm doing enough or not. Because then it's like, whose standards are you holding yourself to? Because it's clearly not yours. Because if it was yours, you'd be chilling. You'd be happy. You'd be content with how things are progressing. You'd be okay with how things are progressing. Like, at first I thought 2020 was about to be a shithole, but honestly, it's been so peaceful for me because all I've done is surrendered and be like, you know what? There's just a lot of things that I can't control, so I'm gonna just stop trying to control it. Whatever happens, happens. Like, it's not always up to me to determine what I should be doing, but I can also be determined about just making sure I'm at least taken care of. So all you really can do is go within yourself and ask, am I resting enough? Honestly, like, that's really what that leads down to, is like, what am I lacking? What do I need? And the more you break that down, the more you'll understand where you're slacking on the rest and where you're slacking on the work, or where you're giving too much rest and where you're giving too much work. Alright, sorry, I be spending hella time on stuff. Let me see who the next person is. Okay, should I go through with my appointment at the Women's Center tomorrow? Okay, so if you weren't in here earlier, I'm just going to repeat myself. Some of y'all are asking yes or no questions. So if it feels like more of a yes or no question to me, I'm going to draw the pendulum. Which was very happy and excited to answer some questions for you guys. And if you weren't here earlier, this is my Merkaba piece that I use to block out EMF. And I have shungite in there, which also helps with grounding, protection, and blocking out EMF. It helps with anxiety. It helps provide you like a sense of stability, like feeling just like secure in your life. So this piece really makes me feel hella good. So let's see. Should Slim Jim go to to the Women's Center tomorrow? Show me. For those who weren't here, could you show us yes? Sorry. Can you show us no? Okay, should Slim Jim go to her appointment at the Women's Center tomorrow? Okay, it's saying no. But I feel like that's a little personal, so I don't know if you should listen to us on that one. I feel like I don't know enough context to just give you a yes or no, but I hope that this confirms at least how you feel. I don't like being just a yes or no person. I said this earlier. I'm like somebody of depth. So no's make me worried. But yeah, saying no. So I hope that gives you confirmation. Let's see, do we have any more questions? Okay, you said you're in Texas and they're trying to legalize. If you're still in here, yeah, like I said earlier, I think all people of color needs to get into the cannabis industry, because to me that's reparations for all the bullshit you put us through. Plus, the more of us that get into the industry, we'd be able to make hella bank to help fight cases for the people that are in jail for having weed. So I think like it's important for us to learn the industry a lot deeper than what is given to us, because the more we're involved, then the more we understand how to operate and how to help continue the legalization and the freedom of all the other people that are still incarcerated, especially in legal states. The people that are incarcerated in legal states, how we can get them out. So I feel like it's very important, and the cannabis industry is always going to be thriving. That shit banks billions of dollars. Like, it really brings in a lot of bread. So I think it's very important that we get part of that, especially because, like, at least in California and stuff, like, you get paid pretty decent to trim and to work at these places. So it's a really good environment, and I think it's something that we're progressing into for sure. Let's see. If you're asking love questions again, I don't do love readings. I don't believe in love readings, so I'm not answering love questions. Let me see. I'm sorry, I'm just getting through a lot of these comments. So Elizabeth, if you're still here, I did draw for your pendulum question, and it said no. Because I just got to the point where you said you rejoined. So Elizabeth, if you're still in here, the pendulum said no to your question about your appointment. Let's see, is she? Yeah, I'm gonna start going live more often. See, I went through this weird phase, right, where when Instagram really started popping off, I would do lives all the time, like, and I would pre-announce my lives, and nobody would come. So I like gave up on that shit. It was like, I'm gonna just wait till I'm like not shadow banned, because I do talk about a lot of shit and y'all don't be realizing, but Instagram be shadow banning us for just talking on certain topics and letting y'all know about certain truths. So that's why a lot of the time we don't even pop up on your timeline unless you come looking for us, because we get shadow banned. And shadow banned is not something that is verbalized. It's not something you really know about unless you're experiencing it. So somebody I know that actually goes through that a lot is Shaka Bars. He gets shadow banned a lot. And what happens when you're shadow banned, like, you don't show up on hashtags. Like, you only show up to the people you like interact with a lot, because the algorithms is set up where you wouldn't know it. Like, you wouldn't know unless you really went from an outside source and realized, like, wait, I didn't see this there. So like, you wouldn't show up on hashtags. And I'm learning to no longer really use hashtags anymore, because that's how you get caught up in the algorithm, so that they can block you, because they have algorithms set up to the hashtags, which makes sense. So now that my page is more active and people are seeing me again, I will start going live more, because before, like, I'm telling you, I wouldn't show up. Nobody would know I was on live. Like, 2 people would know I was on, and they were like, had you not even like send that shit to me, I wouldn't have probably known either. So yeah, but we gonna get back on that, because I'm seeing that they're letting my profile go out again. So hopefully we can do this more. I mean, shout outs to the hoodies, because you gotta be comfortable and warm. So, you know, it's also like damn near fall now, so I was looking for any reason to wear my hoodie. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I'm looking for questions. Currently working on my trust in the universe. That's our first relationship outside of self. Of course, like, that's why I'm always like telling people, if you feel lost, the first place you should always go is nature, because the universe is always conspiring, it's always working, it's always moving, it's always talking. Like, there's new technology now that people can tune into plants more, and people can see that trees be talking to each other. So, like, go to nature. I'm telling you, you'll get so many answers. Like, that's really how I feel people can really build relationships with themselves, because nature will always be more on your side than an understanding of your experiences, because it can read your frequency and read your energy than trying to talk to another person. No offense, but I'm not like, I don't teach to make people rely on me. I teach for people to figure out shit on their own, because I understand it's a self journey, so I can only ever tell you so much. But what I can say is, like, if you are struggling, if you are mentally in a bad place, if you don't have answers to your life, if you really just in a fucked up ass place, just keep going to nature. I promise you, you're gonna find answers, you're gonna find clarity, you're gonna find support, you're gonna find everything that you need. Now, don't go to no bridge and jump. That's not the type of nature we're talking about. But definitely, like, go sit in some grass and take your shoes off. It's called earthing. When you earth, you are allowing the earth to take out the negative ions out of your body and give you back positive ones. So it allows your body to actually be healed. So all those healing sessions that y'all be paying for as well, or you be asking people for, you can also learn to do that with yourself if you do it in nature, and if you allow your feet to be in direct connection to the ground and the soil. So always surrender to, like, self-exploration, and the more you reject that, the harder life is gonna get. But the universe is always going to have the answers for you. Yes, someone said, when I surrender my situations, they always work out the best. Exactly. You gotta just be in it, you know? I'm going to save this live, so I'm probably going to close this off shortly so that I can save it. So if you missed your answer, you can come back. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna do this last card before I close out. Someone asked, where should your focus be right now? And that's about to be the last question, because I'm not sure how much time I've been on here for, so I don't want to lose it. Let's see. Oh, yep, that one is trying to come out. Courage. Your focus should be on your courage right now for sorry if I butcher this, my Meraki life. Yep, this is for you. Yours is on courage. And for this specific card, I'm going to definitely read this passage for you real quick, because it's really good. Okay, for courage. The warmth of your open heart can give comfort to all who cross your path. The root word for courage is coeur. I'm probably going to say that wrong, so I'm sorry. Which is the French word for heart. Courage comes from the heart. It is an inner strength guided by love, which seeks truth and justice. When you have the courage to be true to yourself, you start to feel empowered to act and live in ways true to your own soul, without any illusion. Ganesha is urging you to let down your guard and stop wearing a mask. Begin to have more respect for yourself as well as for others. Beware of making harsh judgments about yourself and others. When you come from the heart, you will find that you relate better to others. Your innate gifts will be able to shine through. You are capable of leadership, achievement, and inspiring others to succeed. Through your own success, when you draw this card, it is a sign that your ability to cooperate and thrive in peer ventures with like-minded individuals is heightened. Be willing to do what is needed for the things to run smoothly for you. Ganesha promises great success if you are willing to let down your walls. He is pictured here on the powerful lion, inherited from his mother, Parvati. The lion represents the fierce nature of Ganesha. He calls on you now to trust the fearless part of your being, your own inner lion, and invites you to work with him to learn how to be valiant and harness your heart's great courage. So literally, this is all about your solar plexus right now, and making sure that you're feeding yourself power, making sure you're absorbing vitality and allowing yourself to really triumph through whatever you're experiencing, and having like confidence in yourself, because at the end of the day, like, you are the only person that can live your experience. So make sure that you always putting yourself first, you always talking yourself up, you always making sure that even when you have down times, that you are reminding yourself that it's okay to feel what you feel that is valid. Those emotions are valid, but make sure you remind yourself though that throughout that darkness you can still encourage yourself. That doesn't mean that you're solving the problems. It does not mean to produce toxic positivity, but to be aware of the duality of experiencing both the shadow and the light at the same time. So just reminding yourself that regardless of what you are going through, you are always strong enough to have the clarity to eventually get through the fog and get the answers you need, and to get to the place that you want to be. But you have to remind yourself that that comes from within, and that you cannot allow your outside world to affect who you are and affect how you see yourself. Because a lot of the time, what your outside world looks like is based on your generational karma from your lineage, from your family, the stuff that's passed down, that are the generational curses that you are breaking. So sometimes your reality doesn't match you because there's so much more layer to what you're going through and what you're experiencing. But what you always have is you. So you have to remind yourself to feed that solar plexus, and to feed your courage, to feed that aspect of yourself that trusts in who you are and knows who you are and knows what you want, knows what you need, and knows that the universe will always provide. The universe will always provide for you. But the universe will only provide to you if you know that you are deserving. Of course, the universe is always going to send you like support, but you won't ever be able to truly bring in a full manifestation of what you truly want, because what you truly want is non-physical. It's self-love, it's love, it's unconditional love. So that's not something you can necessarily source outside of yourself. That's something you have to bring out from within you, and be able to radiate that into the world, and be able to be like, I don't give a fuck about what my world looks like. I know who I am. I know what I want, and I'm gonna go get that regardless of what my outer world looks like, regardless of how I feel inside, regardless if I feel scared, regardless of if I feel like there's all these obstacles. Fuck those obstacles. All of that shit is an illusion. It's all an illusion that we create because the mind is trying to understand its reality. And if the mind can't comprehend something because the brain can't comprehend something it doesn't know, that's where that fear base comes in, because you don't have enough connection between your mind and your spirit. Because the spirit is always aware. The spirit is always aware. It's the mind that has to catch up, and the eyes is the last thing to really see anything. Your brain comprehends before your eyes. The eye sees things upside down. and kind of backwards too. So the brain has to associate what it's seeing, rearrange it, and then show you what you are seeing. So your eyesight is actually delayed. So you have to make sure that first and foremost that you have connection with spirit, because spirit will always have you guided and protected and supported, because it is always aware, because it is a part of the everything. Everything is everything. So just make sure that you're tapped into that. And the more tapped into that you are, the more you'd be able to keep dousing yourself in courage and bringing that life force out and being able to tackle the world and see the world in the vision that you want to see it in. And the more charge you take, y'all don't understand, the more charge y'all take of your life, the more it changes. Because your outer world is just like how your eyes to your brain to your spirit operates. Your outer world is just delayed. Because things have to come into physical manifestation. That don't just happen like that. Things have to, they're like atoms have to move and vibrate and shake until it starts formulating and formulating and formulating until it comes into a physical presence. So y'all can't expect your manifestations to come in so easily and so quickly. So you have to make sure that you are making your visualizations every day where you are focusing on what you want and you're not focusing on what your world looks like. You're focusing on your inner desires. You're visualizing that and seeing that and feeling it. You're letting yourself teleport to this space where you already have this thing, so you can feel it to your core. You feel how excited it makes you feel. You feel the wind on your face. You feel all of that shit, and that's how you really bring that shit into your reality. But if you're focused on the outer world too much, then you are losing connection between the mind and the soul. So like the reality is always delayed, what I was saying before. So you have to remember now, when you're manifesting, you have to give the universe time to create a way and a path for you to get there. Because every decision you make has a cause and effect. So everything is constantly changing. The only thing constant is change. So you have to make sure that you're not putting too much expectation on yourself. And that's what usually breaks down your solar plexus. And your solar plexus is what gives you vital energy. And now I'm a Leo, so my home is my solar plexus. So I know that shit firsthand. Like, you have to really not give a fuck in the most genuine way you can say that. Like, you really just cannot give a fuck about what your outworld looks like. It's an illusion. It's delayed. Time is an illusion. Time works in all directions. So there's some things in your reality that's not even from this time. So you have to remind yourself that things are not what it seems like. So the only thing I have is me. So I have to make sure I'm looking after me, that I'm taking care of me, that I'm speaking positive affirmations, that I'm making sure that I'm really trying to be progressive with myself and not trying to degrade who I am because of what outside looks like. So don't be getting caught up in like society standards where they make you feel like, oh, well, if you in the hood, that means you ain't worth shit because you can't do shit. That's not, like, judging books by its cover. We tend to judge our own book by its cover and forget our own trials and tribulations. So you start to get discouraged because you forget what power you got. You forget how divine you are. You forget who you are. So you just have to continue to remind yourself. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, you have to make sure you're taking time to sit down with yourself, to rest, to talk to your ancestors, to ask questions, to really digest and really dig in yourself. Y'all are not spending enough time with yourselves because we get caught up in this workaholic life where you work till you die. So you have to just continue to remind yourself of like how superior you are, how powerful you are, that you are this divine, unconditional love being that just radiates all this positivity and all this great shit, even though you also understand that simultaneously you're going through a lot of trials and tribulations. Because we also have to learn how to separate the emotion, which is energy in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. So you have to remember that your feelings also determines that about you. But I have to cut off this live before I lose it. So thank you for tuning in. Love you all. Peace.